Have you ever noticed how life seems to run away from you the moment you begin chasing it? The more you run after love, the more it slips through your hands. The harder you chase success, the further it seems to move away. And the more desperately you search for peace, the louder the noise inside your head becomes. It feels almost unfair, doesn't it? As though life has hidden its treasures behind a glass wall that only opens when you finally stop banging on it. This is where Carl Jung's timeless wisdom enters, whispering a secret that has transformed countless lives. Stop chasing, start attracting. At first, it sounds like a paradox. How can not chasing bring you closer to what you want? How can letting go be the key to receiving? We live in a culture that glorifies the chase. From childhood, we are told to strive harder, to compete, to prove ourselves, to always be on the run. And yet, when we pause and truly reflect, we realize that the moments when life blessed us the most were never the moments of desperate pursuit, but the moments when we were simply present, open, and aligned with ourselves. Jung's insight goes deeper than a motivational slogan. It is rooted in a profound understanding of energy, the psyche, and the unconscious field that connects us all. He saw that when you chase, you broadcast lack. Your energy carries a vibration of, I don't have it yet, I need it, I am incomplete without it. And because the world mirrors your energy, it reflects back situations, people, and experiences that match that sense of incompleteness. But when your energy shifts, when you stop running, when you anchor yourself in stillness, you stop vibrating lack and start radiating wholeness. In that wholeness, life comes to you. Picture this. Imagine two people entering the same room. One is restless, scanning every face, desperately trying to be noticed. Their words are rushed, and their smile is forced, and their very presence says, "Please see me. Please approve of me." The second person walks in quietly, not seeking attention, but carrying a calm gravity. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to chase. Yet without saying a word, people notice them, feel drawn to them, and want to be near them. This is the invisible difference between chasing and attracting. The first radiates lack, the second radiates presence. But how do you shift from one to the other? That is where Jung's teaching becomes transformational. He reminds us that much of our chasing comes from what he called the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we refuse to see. When you haven't accepted your own loneliness, you chase relationships to cover it. When you haven't embraced your own insecurity, you chase status and recognition. When you fear emptiness, you chase possessions and distractions. And yet, the more you chase outside, the further you drift from the root of the longing inside. Jung's wisdom invites us to turn inward, to face the shadow rather than mask it, and in doing so, to discover a wholeness that ends the chase naturally. Stillness, then, is not the absence of action. It is the presence of alignment. It is not laziness, but rootedness. It is not passivity, but magnetism. When you learn to rest in the center of yourself, your energy stops scattering outward and begins to gather like a strong current. And energy, once gathered, attracts. This is why people who seem to need nothing often receive everything. They have learned the art of attraction, not through manipulation, but through authenticity. Think of a flower in bloom. The flower does not chase the bees. It does not run after the sun. It simply unfolds its petals in its own time, expressing its nature fully, and in that expression, life comes to it. The bees arrive, the sun nourishes it, the soil supports it. In the same way, when you bloom into your true self, when you stop forcing and start being, life flows to you naturally. Love arrives, opportunities open, abundance finds its way. Yet this is easier said than done. To stop chasing means to face silence, and silence can be uncomfortable. When you are no longer distracting yourself with the chase, you begin to hear the voices you've ignored, the fear of not being enough, the ache of old wounds, the restlessness of unmet desires. And yet, Jung would say, it is precisely in facing these voices that you grow. Because once you embrace them, they no longer control you. They no longer drive your desperate pursuit. Instead, they dissolve into understanding. And from understanding rises power. This is the hidden paradox of energy. The less you need, the more you attract. The less you chase, the more life flows toward you. Not because you are tricking the universe, but because you are finally aligned with it. Jung described this as living from the self, the deeper center beyond the ego, the place where you are not defined by masks or fears, but by the truth of who you are. In that center, you do not need to perform. You do not need to chase. You simply are. And in that being, everything that is truly yours comes without effort. Now imagine applying this shift to your daily life. Instead of chasing love, you cultivate love within yourself. You treat yourself with the kindness, attention, and respect that you once begged from others. Instead of chasing success, you align your actions with your true passions and let your work speak for itself. Instead of chasing peace, you slow down, breathe, and create moments of stillness in your day. The world responds not to your desperation, but to your vibration. And when your vibration is whole, the response of life changes. The beautiful thing about this journey is that it does not require you to become someone else. You don't have to wear a new mask or pretend to be more confident than you are. You simply need to return to yourself, to peel back the layers of chasing, to release the grip of fear, to stand still long enough for your natural energy to radiate. That is when attraction begins. Not forced, not fabricated, but genuine. And slowly, you will notice something miraculous. People who once overlooked you begin to notice you. Doors that once remained closed begin to open. Opportunities arrive without strain. Even love feels different. It no longer feels like a desperate hunt, but like a meeting of equals. This is not because the world has changed, but because your energy has. Jung's wisdom teaches us that when your energy shifts, reality itself rearranges. So the invitation is simple, though never easy. Stop the endless chase. Let go of the restless pursuit. Come back to yourself. When you stop chasing, you don't lose. You begin to attract. You don't end the journey. You begin the real one. And in that stillness, you discover the secret Jung wanted us to know all along. Everything you are seeking is already seeking you. There is a strange law that governs our existence, a law we often overlook. The more tightly we grip something, the more it slips through our fingers. Have you ever tried to hold water in your hands? The harder you clench your fist, the faster it escapes. But when you soften your palm, the water rests gently, staying longer than you expect. This law is not just about water, it is about relationships, success, happiness, and life itself. Jung understood this principle long before it became fashionable in self-help circles. He saw that life does not reward the desperate, it rewards the aligned. Think about the times you fell in love. Did it happen because you were chasing every person, begging them to notice you? Or did it arrive quietly, in an unexpected moment, when you were simply yourself? The truth is, attraction is never forced. Real love cannot be hunted down. It blossoms when the soil of your being is fertile, when you radiate wholeness instead of hunger. Jung pointed out that when we project our unloved parts onto others, we chase them in hopes they will fill our void. But if we have not faced our own shadow, no partner can ever complete us. Attraction that lasts comes only when we have learned to embrace our own incompleteness first. And what about success? We are told to hustle harder, to chase the dream, to never stop grinding. But how many people do you know who burned themselves out chasing success, only to find emptiness when they finally reached it? Chasing comes from fear. It comes from the belief that if I don't grab this now, it will be gone forever. Attraction, on the other hand, comes from trust. It comes from a deeper knowing that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. This doesn't mean you sit idle and do nothing. No, it means your actions are born from stillness, not from panic. They are rooted, intentional, magnetic. And because your inner guy is calm, the universe responds with clarity. Imagine two musicians. One is desperate to be famous. They copy trends, force songs out of themselves, and measure every note by how much attention it will get. The other musician creates from a place of love for the art. They pour their soul into each lyric, not chasing the crowd, but expressing truth. Over time, who do you think the world remembers? It is always the one who radiates authenticity, because authenticity attracts. Desperation only repels. Carl Jung also spoke about synchronicity, the mysterious way meaningful coincidences appear in our lives when we are in alignment. Have you ever noticed that when you stop obsessing over a problem, suddenly the solution appears? Or when you stop running after someone, they finally call? Or when you release your tight grip on money, opportunities for abundance arise out of nowhere? This is not magic. It is energy. Synchronicity is life's way of saying, now you are in flow. It is as though the universe has been waiting for you to stop pushing so it can finally start delivering. But here's the challenge. Most of us are addicted to chasing. We feel uncomfortable without it. Silence feels unbearable. Stillness feels like laziness. Doing nothing makes us anxious because we fear that if we stop, life will leave us behind. Jung understood this fear deeply. He saw that beneath the addiction to chasing lies a deeper wound, the fear of not being enough. If we stop chasing, who will we be? If we stop running, what will we face in the mirror? That is why this path requires courage. The courage to stop, the courage to face yourself, the courage to believe that you are already whole even before anything arrives. And yet, when you take that courageous step, something miraculous begins to unfold. At first you may feel emptiness, but slowly, emptiness turns to peace. Silence becomes your ally, not your enemy. You begin to notice the small things, the way the air feels on your skin, the sound of your own breath, the quiet joy of being alive. These are not trivial. They are signs that your energy is returning to you. No longer scattered in 1,000 directions, it gathers in your center. And from that center, a new vibration radiates outward. That vibration says, I am whole, I am enough, I am ready. And the world responds. Without chasing, you find doors opening. Without begging, you find relationships deepening. Without forcing, you find opportunities coming. It is almost as if life has been waiting for you to stop long enough for it to catch up. Jung would say that when you are in touch with the self, the deep, unshakable core of your being, you no longer need to chase because the self is magnetic. The self does not run after things, it draws them. Think of the great teachers, the mystics, the wise elders across cultures. Did they run through the streets shouting for followers? Did they beg people to listen? No. They sat in stillness. They radiated presence, and people found them. The greatest power is not in chasing the crowd, but in standing so deeply in your truth that the crowd finds you. But let us bring this closer to your own life. Perhaps you are tired of chasing love. Perhaps every time you give your all, it feels like people run away. You feel invisible, exhausted, unworthy. Here is Jung's invitation. Stop. Stop chasing love outside and start nurturing love inside. The moment you treat yourself the way you want to be treated, your energy changes. And as your energy changes, people around you sense it. They no longer see desperation in your eyes. They see confidence. They no longer sense hunger in your touch. They sense wholeness. Love comes when you are no longer begging for it. Or maybe you are chasing money. You stay awake at night, worrying, calculating, planning, fearing it will never be enough. But what if you stopped for a moment? What if instead of vibrating fear, you cultivated gratitude for what you already have? Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies. When you live in it, you stop chasing money, and money begins to flow. Not because you are sitting idle, but because your actions arise from abundance, not from lack. You begin to notice opportunities you overlooked before. You attract collaborations, ideas, and solutions you could not see while blinded by fear. And maybe, just maybe, you are chasing yourself. Chasing an ideal version of who you think you should be. Taller, smarter, richer, more successful, more loved. But here is Jung's final gift. You are already whole. The version of you are chasing is not out there. It is within. The self does not need chasing. It only needs remembering. When you finally remember, the chase ends. And in that ending, attraction begins. Life flows. Love flows. Abundance flows. Not because you manipulated energy, but because you returned to it. You remembered who you truly are. There is something deeply human about the chase. From the earliest days of our lives, we are taught to pursue, to go after what we want, to strive endlessly. As children, we chase approval. As teenagers, we chase identity. As adults, we chase success, relationships, recognition, and stability. But what if the very act of chasing is the very thing that pushes these desires away? Jung reminds us that the psyche is like a mirror. Whatever energy you put out into the world reflects back at you. If you radiate desperation, you attract avoidance. If you radiate peace, you attract openness. This is not just philosophy. Look at your own life. Think of the times you clung tightly to someone who was slipping away. The tighter you held, the faster they disappeared. Think of the times you pushed yourself to exhaustion chasing a dream, only to see others, who seemed calmer, succeed with ease. It is not that they were luckier. It is that their vibration was different. They were aligned, and alignment is irresistible. The secret is subtle but powerful. Life does not respond to words alone. It responds to frequency. You can say, "I am confident." But if your energy vibrates with fear, the world will sense the fear. You can say, "I am abundant." But if your energy hums with lack, the universe will echo that lack back to you. Jung's wisdom shows us that to attract, we must first embody. Attraction does not happen when you force it with words. It happens when your being resonates with truth. And so the question arises, how do we stop chasing? How do we step out of the restless, exhausting pattern of running after everything? The answer is paradoxical. We stop chasing by returning home, to ourselves. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming whole. Most of us spend our lives split into pieces, the part we show the world and the part we hide in the shadows. The more we deny. Now let us imagine this in practical terms. You wake up tomorrow, and instead of rushing through your day chasing outcomes, you pause, you breathe, you center yourself. You remind yourself, I do not need to chase. What is mine will find me. You move through your tasks not from panic, but from presence. You send that message, but without clinging to the reply. You apply for that opportunity, but without obsessing over the result. You love people, but without begging for their love in return. And suddenly, you notice a shift. People respond differently. Life feels lighter. Things flow more easily. This is not magic. This is resonance. You have changed the frequency you live on, and the world has no choice but to respond. You are no longer the frantic chaser, but the calm attractor. You embody the very energy that Jung described, the energy of the self, rooted, whole, still. And perhaps you wonder, is it really that simple? Can stopping the chase truly change everything? The answer is yes, but not because of external tricks. It works because of something deeper. When you stop chasing, you reclaim your energy. Think of how much energy you lose in constant pursuit. Energy wasted on worry, on obsession, on fear. That energy, once reclaimed, gathers in your center. And energy gathered in the center becomes power. real power. The kind of power that does not scream but whispers, the kind that does not beg but radiates. Carl Jung believed that this shift is not just psychological but spiritual. He saw that when people stopped running from themselves and turned inward, they tapped into something greater than the ego. They touched the self, the infinite source of being that connects us to all of life. From that place, attraction is effortless. From that place, life itself begins to flow through you instead of against you. And here is the most beautiful part. You do not need to become someone else to experience this. You do not need to fake positivity, force affirmations, or pretend to be enlightened. You only need to return to who you truly are. You only need to stop running long enough to feel your own heartbeat again. When you do, you discover that the chase was never necessary. The love you sought, the success you desired, the peace you longed for, it was always waiting, just beyond the noise of your chasing. So tonight, as you sit with yourself, ask, what am I chasing? Whose approval am I running after? What fear drives my endless pursuit? And then dare to imagine, what would happen if I stopped? What if, just for today, I let life come to me instead of running after it? Jung's wisdom whispers the answer. When your energy no longer chases, everything begins to chase you. Not because you manipulated life, but because you aligned with it. Not because you forced attraction, but because you became it. So let the chase end here. Let the stillness begin. Trust the pull of your own presence, and watch as the life you have been running toward finally runs toward you.